Hello to you all. I'm not quite sure what this is going to be, but mainly at the moment it's going to be about these things. I was going to talk about when I started and all about it, but there's a lot of history of mine and I don't know where to start really, because it's prompting me to write. Yeah, people have said I should write a book, but I'm a bit lazy. I like writing, but when I'm in the mood, as most writers are, you've got to be in the mood. Plus, my writing hand is in no fit state to do any writing right now properly. I know I can dictate, and I can use my computer, but anyway, the thing is, I thought it'd be easier to maybe film chapters of me talking about my life if anybody's interested. Rather than write a book, and then it's logged that way. I don't know. It might be interesting to some of you, and some of you might be like, as if we got any interested in your life, but people are interested in people's lives, I guess. So, and I've had quite a colourful and interesting life compared to a lot of people, so might find it interesting. But anyway, the point was that it was the fact that my situation right now, is due to this more than likely. I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. My first ever cigarette was 9. And a lot of you will be shocked to know that nobody was there. I was by myself. I was never pressured into smoking. None of my friends smoked. It was a very weird situation. And it's because my uncle had a Jaguar, fancy gold Jaguar with a Jaguar emblem on the front bonnet, and it was gold, and it was very posh. And we all lived on a big farm when we was kids. My granny and my uncle and my dad and their wives all lived, and my brothers and everybody lived on this big farm in South Cheshire. And my uncle had bought this fancy Jag, and I loved driving. My first ever driving experience was when I was 6 years old on a tractor. My dad plonked me on a tractor, stuck it in gear. It had a trailer on the back, and we were in a big field, and it was baling season, harvest, and so he'd said, you need to just steer around the field slowly. Now, he'd only put it in first gear, but it was my first experience of driving a tractor round a field with a trailer while my dad and my uncle were putting bales on the back. So I loved driving, so any opportunity I could after that to get on that tractor was, I loved it. Anyway, when my uncle had brought this fancy Jag home, I used to go and sit in it with the window down and imagine myself cruising along in this beautiful car, and then it was something in the car that prompted me to start smoking. That is it. That is what started me smoking. That car started me smoking because it was the first time I'd seen one of them pushing cigarette lighter things. So there was loads of quite long, half cigarettes in the ashtray. It was full of them because both my uncle and his girlfriend smoked, or wife at the time. I don't know. Yes, it was his wife then. So this ashtray in the car was full of half fags. So at first, I didn't, but I used to pick a cigarette up because everyone smoked back in them days. and I would sit there in this car with my arm out the window, driving this car with a cigarette. Imagine myself cruising along in this fancy car. I used to spend hours, my imagination. When I was a kid, I was the only girl of the family. I used to play. I used to have a lot of me on my own time at home. My two brothers were more closer than with me, so I'm quite alone anyway. So I used to amuse myself doing stuff like that. The other thing I used to do a lot was sing to the cows. And sing hymns, because we were a religious family back in them days. We used to, and they were the only songs I really used to know. So I used to go down the fields, and it was amazing because the cows would. I would stand at the gate and start singing to the cows, and they would all come from wherever they were and gather round me and come and listen. It was so nice. Me and the cows. Not that I was a great singer. I'm not a great singer, but it was just something It was the only. It was the only, only thing to would put up with listening to me sing. Anyway, I had some fun times on that farm. There was some bad times too, but mainly fun. I I remember it with fondness more than anything. Uh, but yeah, there's a few things that didn't go good on that farm, and that was the start of this. Well, I don't know. I probably would have ended up smoking later on, maybe, because when I was, oh yes, so I literally didn't used to light them at first. I just used to get them out the ashtray, half lit, like, half a cigarette and pretend. And then I'd spotted this pushing cigarette lighter, so I pushed it in and lit this cigarette. And I used to light the cigarette and just go, like, take it in and blow it straight out. I never used to breathe it in or anything. That's all. I didn't, because I did try to, and I nearly died choking, as you can imagine. If any of you that don't smoke and have tried, and it's nearly made you choke to death, the first time you do it is not, not, not nice. I don't know why that doesn't deter people from smoking in the first place. I really don't know, but I suppose when you see your parents smoking and they're not coughing their heads off, you're obviously realising that there's a knack to it somewhere, and so you're just learning. They're not coughing, so it must be okay. But it is not nice when you first do it. But yeah, that is how I become to be smoking at 9. And after that, I used to go and nick the odd one. I do that quite regularly, and then he ended up, you know, did I don't, did I end up? I obviously ended up inhaling them somewhere along the line. The reason why I'm not sure is because I remember later when I was around 11 or 12, when I first started the senior school, the journey from my house to the bus was quite a way, and we were one of the first ones because we were quite a distance from the school. So we were one of the first ones on. There was only a handful of kids on the bus when we were picked up. By the time I got to school, the whole bus was completely full, and some people were standing even. But anyway, I remember it was only flipping hell. It was only a few weeks into me starting the senior school, and this lad from up the back of the bus, who was a popular young dude, they all smoked on the bus then, and he come along with his cigarette. He was walking down the bus, and he says to me, "So, do you smoke?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, do you?" Yeah. And he passed this fag to me, and I just picked it up and blew the smoke out. Did I? I don't know. I think I did that. No, actually, no, I didn't. I was smoking properly before then. inhaling it. What he was upset with is because I'd smoked it like this, and I got it a bit wet, and he goes, "Good God, I can't swim." You don't need to. So yeah, I was, and because that broke the ice for me smoking on the bus then, and I thought it was big and clever to smoke on the bus. So I've smoked ever since, properly, from when I was around 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 is the times when 9 was the first time I ever actually held a cigarette and smoked it. But between 9 and 11, somewhere along there, I started inhaling. So I've been smoking a very long time. And I know you're probably shocked to think that while I've got this information going on at the hospital, what on earth do I think I'm doing smoking now? Well, to be fair, nearly 50, no, where are we? Nearly 40 years of smoking. Hardly think a couple more on top of it is hardly going to make any difference right now. I mean, if he says, "Oh yes, if we can get rid of that and you stop smoking, you'll be fine." Well, don't know. Don't know. Maybe we will stop. Well, we will if I've got lung cancer and it gets cured, then obviously I won't be smoking anymore. But my mother was told at the point, mind you, my mother drank alcohol too. I do not touch alcohol. So my mother had a double problem. She had that going on as well as her cancer. So she, yeah, wasn't good for her. But when she found out nothing could be done, she just bought a big bottle of whiskey and plunked it on the top of the counter and said, like, because she always hid it before. But that day she was diagnosed, she just put a big bottle of whiskey on the top of the table and told everyone that she didn't give a F, and my mother never says that word, ever. And that was the first time, and first and only time I've ever heard my mother say that word. But she said, "I don't give an F what you all think, but right now this bottle of whiskey is mine, and no one's going to tell me I can't have it, because there's nothing anyone can do, and if I'm having to die, then I'm going to die how I want, and not, you're not going to put me in a clinic and stop me smoking and drinking now when it's too late." Which is fair enough. If you know you've got terminal cancer, you may as well enjoy every second left you've got in any way you can. So, I don't know. Anyway, what I'd like to know is, would you do you think it would be worth me logging my life, like an autobiography or video biography, whatever you'd like to call it? Because, like I said, I'll never get round to finishing the book. I have had quite an interesting life, really. I've got a few chapters to go through, various parts of my life that has been quite, had its ups and downs like everybody's. But I thought it, like I said, I'd do short chapters starting from my history to, different decades maybe, going through the decades to now. That's probably a maybe. I might flick. I don't know how to structure, whether to just do it straight, try and structure it, kind of plan it on a. Yeah, well, I suppose I could do that. Yeah, probably plan to stop me rambling, really, because I ramble a bit. I can get sidetracked, and so the video could go on for longer than necessary. But then it gives it a truth, doesn't it? It stops it being read. It's coming from the heart then, rather than, giving someone time to think about what they're writing. and changing it to sound better, or you know what I mean. When someone's talking completely off the head, I don't, I don't mean off the head like drunk or something. I mean off the top of their head, you know. Yeah, so when someone's talking just off the top of their head with no script or no structure, it's obviously going to be from the heart, and so maybe that's a better way of doing it. I don't know. Anyway, you might decide that no one wants to give a shit about my life, so I might not even get around to doing it. But anyway, it's an idea. So if anyone was interested in it, anyway, so that's what got all I've got to talk about now. Anyway, so we'll stop filming. Tell me what you think.